of Thorns, a Vampire the Dark Ages Chronicle, starring a wonderful cast of players, who, before introducing myself, I shall introduce to each of you. I'm going to go around the table, telling the audience who's playing the game, and I would love for each of you to just briefly explain the character you're playing. Just briefly. Let's start with you, Ree. Who are you playing?
Hi, I'm Marie, also known as SorcerieArts online. I will be playing Layla, a Tremere who is much prefers to keep to her own company, but unfortunately is on an assignment right now on behalf of the Chantry, so dealing with some newer fledglings.
Yes, you have some rather unpleasant responsibilities right now, and we will be delving into them shortly. They're going to intersect, sadly, with a performance that Zack's character is putting on. Zack, who are you playing?
But hello, I am Zack. I will be playing a character known as Vescum, and he is an interesting one of the Nosferatu, one of the wretched creatures of the night. He is quite eccentric. He loves his stories. He loves finding them. He loves collecting them. He may have a stalking problem, but nobody wants to talk about it. And he also runs a place that quite gathers stories and tells them, retells them to his liking, even. And that is the Minstrel's Mug, a tavern theater combination that he has sprung up in Thorns. And from there, it's his small home base where he can recreate stories he's collected.
Fantastic. And we will see a fraction of one of those stories, but we will most definitely see your stalking on show as the story goes on. But that's not all, because we also have Jack, Law by Night, with us. And who are you playing as in this chronicle, Jack?
I am playing Jonah Thorns of Clan La Sombra. So yes, stereotypically speaking, we've got to have some connections with the church. We might also have some connections to some more unpleasant rapscallions that are disconnected from the church. And to read directly from my character sheet, the old Monty Cook approach of an elderly kingpin who plots. So we'll see how far our elderly so-and-so will be able to plot and connive their way in and out of trouble.
Wonderful. And last but by no means least in the player roster, the man who organized this all, Bob. Who are you playing as?
Hi, everyone. Tickingtimebob. I am playing Warren DeHolt, a humble gamekeeper turned fledgling. He currently seeks divine meaning in every whisper and every sign that he sees. He is of Clan Malkavi.
Thank you very much, players. We will return to you shortly. Now, for the sake of the audience, my name is Matthew Dawkins. Some of you will know me through my work on various RPGs, such as Vampire the Masquerade, Curseborn, The World Below, and more. But others will know me as the Gentleman Gamer through my YouTube channel. And tonight, we are telling a story named Crown of Thorns. It is set in the year 1171. Why is this year important? Well, it isn't just the year, it's the month. This game takes place very early in the month of January 1171, and it was at the end of December 1170 that the Archbishop of Canterbury, Thomas Becket, was brutally slain by 3 or more knights, who, according to popular rumor, heard the king utter, "Who will rid me of this turbulent priest?" and decided, well, they would be the ones to rid him. They charged into Canterbury Cathedral, and Thomas Becket refused to have the doors barred. He said that this church should not become a fortress. They marched in there. They demanded his supplication. They demanded his surrender to the king. But Thomas Becket was already a saint, a living saint. The only person he was prepared to surrender to was God. And it was there that he told them, I surrender myself to the Christ, I surrender myself to the divinity, I will not surrender myself to a mortal man. And the knight, so incensed, smashed his skull many times upon the altar, first with the pommels of their swords, and then they hacked his body with the blades, until the brain was exposed. The historical Chronicle confirms this, but for our characters, this is all very recent news. And in these Middle Ages, news does not travel fast, but this is an exception. You see, the Archbishop of Canterbury was much loved, incredibly influential, perhaps more so than the king, and maybe this is why the king wanted rid of the man in a fit of pique. Now the king is left to deal with the consequences. But you, as Cainites, may feel slightly removed from this mortal politicking, this matter of faith, religion. Not so, because with his death, a religious fervor is spurred into action. There are many who seek vengeance, justice, they would say, divine retribution for what has befallen their archbishop, and this will directly affect our characters in the domain of Thorns in the south of England, where presently the Nosferatu Veskam is putting on a show. It goes by the name La Sainte Resurrection, one of the more popular plays of Norman design. La Sainte Resurrection is a passion play, as so many of the plays of the era happen to be, going through the life and final days of Jesus Christ. It is typical in such performances for poetry to be read, for songs to be sung, for the audience to become involved as well. For us modern players, it would seem almost like a revivalist tent preacher, where the cast start reaching out to the audience and touching the crowd, the peasants, the merchants assemble, and through the strength of the performance, they will actually feel like they have been handled by the Nazarene himself. These things can have commanding effects. Veskam, it's fair to say you've been wanting to get hold of the scripture for this particular play for quite some time. It has been sweeping the theatrical parts of the nation. But literacy is, well, let's be honest, it's not common. It's not widespread in 1171. And now that you finally have it, this is a hot item, Veskam. You've been awaiting this night for quite some time. You ensured that the most talented of your local performers were taken through the script line by line. You have been reading it to them over and over and over again, almost as if your nature is quite obsessive. Few of them are literate, but all of them have good memories. And that's what performance is all about, isn't it? The ability to conjure memory as if you're speaking for the moment rather than the past. You had hoped, Veskam, that your young muse, Lucy, a peasant girl but adequate performer, would take the role of Christ, despite convention demanding otherwise. She has been the apple of your eye, so to speak, since she first demonstrated her talents on stage. But when it comes to casting, you cannot get involved. It's something you've sworn off of. You cannot get that involved. You certainly can't perform. You are not a director. You are the host. It is up to the performers to perform. You cannot direct, you cannot command. And so Bearded William has the role, and it'll do, you suppose. Still, the cast are nervous. There are no wings to this stage. There is outside the minstrel's mug. There's the stage. There's the central hearth, and there is where everybody in a semblance is sat. Right now, the cast are huddled outside in this cold January air. The night is dark. The sun has only just set, but you ensured that despite your natural deep sleep, you were awoken for this. What is the face you are wearing right now, Veskam?
I think Veskam has a couple of faces that he wears in public, especially where he knows he's going to be seen a lot. And I think right now he's wearing the owner's face, the owner of the minstrel's mug, which is kind of a mug that's not the best looking man. Seems to be of average built and height. He's seems to have a false eye that he, from time to time, when in private, perhaps with the actors and they're going over things, he will pop out because he finds it quite not too comfortable to keep in for long periods of time. He wears a small leather hat to keep his sparse hair in control. He's he's older. He's perhaps in this time period kind of quite old. He's late 40s and has a slow but sometimes excitable gait. So at this point in time, it is excitable for sure.
You are excitable. You're wringing your hands. You're shuffling in place. This is going to be the performance of the theatre. You've never had anything happen like this before, and you know that there are important people. And yes, there's the locals, some of the peasants, the farmers, the people who gather for such things. You don't charge them. The play's the thing, but they also pay for ale and such, and that's really what's important. Community is what stirs you, Veskam. You're not some capitalist of the Middle Ages. But can I ask you to make a perception and empathy roll, just to really get things rolling?
Sure, definitely can. Quick question.
Hmm.
Are we rolling this in?
I'm going to trust you. You can roll them virtually, you can roll them in person. I don't mind. But you tell me, in this case, you're looking for 6s and above.
All right, let me open something here then.
For our Dark Ages game, 10s count as 2 successes, 1s only count as botches if you get no other successes. 1s do not take away successes because that results in ridiculous swingy results.
All right, that was perception, alertness,
Perception empathy, please.
empathy. Sorry.
A rain starts to fall. It's a freezing rain, as is customary in January in this part of the country. The actors are looking up at the sky, wondering if there's some ill omen for the performance they're about to put on. How many successes do you get?
At standard difficulty of 6, I would have 2.
All right, well, your eyes are drawn to Lucy, as they often are, and you see she looks scared. You think nervous at first with your first success, but the second success tells you differently. No, she's scared of something, and she's confiding something in the play's Judas, played by Big John, another one of your performers. Appropriate, I suppose, that she's speaking with Judas. She should be speaking with you. If anyone, Veskam, you're the person who's plucked her from peasantry to perform, and yet she's confiding something in your Judas, in his red cloak. What right does John have to be her confidant? She should be the Mary Magdalene to your Christ. But no, it's easy to become distracted, isn't it? It wouldn't be the first time you've fallen into obsession.
No, it would not be. But it still grates a bit on Vescom. The image, his true form underneath, almost grinding of too many teeth as he watches the two. But he also knows there's other parts to this, other actors. Got to make sure the stage is ready, and that being the owner and host involves a lot of different moving pieces. So he is going to try to keep his mind away from Lucy and the complete betrayal, and look towards the other pieces that need mended.
Bearded William catches sight of you. Despite your disguise, it is still natural for you to lurk in alcoves and hide in shadows, and given it's nightfall, everything is shadows. Let's be clear here. This is the Middle Ages. If you're outside at night, you're in the dark. And Bearded William narrows his eyes. He catches sight of you. Ah, Master! A customary title. You're not actually their master. Is it time the rain, the cloaks we're wearing. We don't want to perform sodden.
Soon enough. Vescom, or at least the form he wears, steps out of the shadow now that he's been noticed just slightly. Preparations are nearly complete. Just a few more last tasks.
Sickly Walter, one of your other actors. I mean, you've only got 3 men in this troupe. You've got 3 men and 2 women. It's not exactly cast for all seasons here. Sickly Walter says, Master, I did have one question. I know you've read through Le Saint Resurrection with us a dozen times now, and I know all the words. It's just, I'm sorry. He lives up to his epithet of Sickly Walter. It's just we couldn't decide on who would play John and who would play Thomas, and now I'm playing. I'm playing John. I'm playing Thomas. I am playing Peter. I feel like I've got to be all of the disciples in one scene. I'm not sure I can move that fast.
Vescom holds out a calming hand as he takes a few steps forward to tap the shoulder of Sickly Walter. I see that you're quite nervous. It is expected. It's many parts. It is going to be difficult, but that is the point. I have faith in you, Walter. I have faith that you have the skill and the knowledge and the talent to be these 3 people, but you just need to be one at a time. That is the key. You picture yourself, you know yourself to be one in that moment. The others don't exist at that moment.
Of course, you're. I just want to get this done. Yeah, I want to do it right. I just want to do it right.
And you will. And if not, there's a slight pause as Vescom retracts the words he was about to say.
Yeah, they all look to you when you say, and if not. Because is this going to be some rebuke? Is this going to be comfort?
Yes, even Vescom may have not have known before he cracks a smile, a few teeth missing. If not, we have many attempts at this. This is not the only time we're going to do this. No one is a master their first time. But this is the beginning of something great. So, you will do well.
Speaking of which, Master, says Bearded William, raising his hand slightly. My beard is going to be dripping on the stage. I don't think that's a way for Christ to appear to these people. Yeah, I need to get inside. And Bearded William just walks inside.
Vescom will nod and kind of usher the others, but he'll, from somewhere, he pulls a it seems like already semi-soiled towel. It's strange. He may have pulled it out of his own coat, but he has it there, and he hands it over to Bearded William or Henry as we start to go back inside.
Bearded William dabs his beard. Thank you, Master. Wouldn't want Jesus to look sweaty. He gives you your towel back, and then as he's passing this rag back to you, he sees the stains that are already on it, frowns, sniffs at his beard, and walks off without comment. So this is not the time to insult the host, though he is clearly wondering what on earth is he's just daubed all over his face. As the cast file to the stage, when they're not performing, they will just be stood on the side in full view. Again, this is not a theatre in the traditional sense. This is more of a Greek style. Margaret, who has the role of Mary, the mother of Jesus, appropriately enough, stops and says, Did you hear? Did you see, sir? There's a noble in attendance. She's all the way from Reading.
Reading. Reading. Interesting. I will have to make my acquaintance with her at some point, of course. Maybe after, maybe before. We'll see.
I think she
Vescom's
might be
craning.
a guest of the Baron.
Baron. Vescom is already craning his neck as if someone said there was a piece of candy that he is welcome to.
Well, Margaret files in as well, leaving you to follow. While the cast are taking their positions in the assembly, Joan, you are currently speaking in confidence with a rather unpleasant individual by the name of Red Nils. Red, because that's how you know him, is undoubtedly a cutthroat. He is the kind of individual you would dispatch to ride the roads, usually at this time of night, quite frankly. And if there happens to be a solitary traveler that he runs into, Red is usually the one who emerges from that kind of encounter slightly richer. Obviously, you get your cut. Between him and you and your entire network, he has seized quite a haul over the months, though you've come to know, Joan, that it's not good practice to field such road agents too frequently. The king or local baron will put a bounty on their heads, and then that's it. At some point soon, Red Nils is going to need to put his head down or move on to fresh pastures where he's not a wanted man. He's leaning in next to you. You are, of course, sat near the back of the tavern theatre. You're not going to be right next to the central hearth, especially given your clan. You see that fancy lady over there, he says, gesturing at what is very obviously a lady of aristocratic bearing based on her gown and the fact that she has a stock on top of her head over which a hood is draped.
Does Joan recognize this individual?
You have heard that there was a noble passing through Thorns. It's not uncommon. Thorns is on the road that passes all the way from Salisbury to Winchester and then on to London, ultimately. You think her name is Catherine, is what you've heard. Catherine of Reading. You've not encountered her yet.
Joan won't acknowledge this. She'll squint, her eyes almost as tight as her lips, the rest of her face aged, investigating from a distance up and down the attire, and she'll just simply say, "What of her?"
Well, I've been doing some fielding, finding out when she arrived, who she arrived with, where she's staying and such, as you would want for me to, my lady. Red is about the only person who refers to you as his lady. You are not a noble, Joan, despite your high clan status. But to a thief like him, you're practically royalty. And she arrived here with only one bodyguard on her side, that tall fella over there. And present-wise, she's staying at the Baron's Keep. But I'm half committed to wonder, when she's on her way, maybe I should take her bodyguard for a tumble through the woods and find out what riches she's carrying on her saddlebags, as it were. With your permission, of course. I know that liberating coin from a noble draws a lot of attention to an operation. One bodyguard?
It is either a display of confidence or stupidity, neither of which is a wonderful recipe. I'd advise you just to keep your distance for now, for something does not seem right with this setup.
He looks offended at the idea. My lady, I would have a question. Your judgment. You've been in this game far longer than humble purse snatcher as she is practically traveling these roads alone. I could get the drop on her. I've got a fast horse of my own now.
Doing her utmost best not to show visible frustration, she will just turn to him and just say, as politely as she can muster, "Please, stop talking," and she will employ command, the first power of dominate.
Wow. The La Sombra style. Just dominate on the head. Now, I believe, and feel free for any of the viewers who don't know how the mechanics work, Jack, to talk through it if you have it in front of you.
That I do. I was somewhat prepared. Dominate and command, as the name would subtly imply, allows one to provide a simple instruction, and success is dependent. The target has to comply, and with this, I would have to roll manipulation, intimidation with a difficulty equal to the victim's current willpower.
Well, Red has a willpower of 4, so go for it.
Okie doke.
I like this. We're getting rolls from everybody. As you are looking into his eyes and these words spill forth from your lips, you can now hear the rain pounding on the roof above you. The timber beams of the minstrel's mug and the thatched roof keep most of the moisture out, but Vescom, you're not an incredibly wealthy host. There are some leaks that drip through to the assembly. How did you do, Jack?
That is a measly 2 successes.
2 successes may sound measly, but as long as you scored 4 or above, his lips thin, his eyes widen, he nods. He puts his hands together over his lap, almost like a child that's been chastised for speaking up at school, and his eyes return to the stage. No doubt this is a power that you deploy sometimes with subtlety, sometimes not, and it only increases your reputation as a woman not to be fucked with. Red, you know he isn't just a cutthroat colorfully. He is a man who cuts throats. He is a killer, and the fact that he will do as you say is another thing that adds to your reputation. You can see these infernal players taking their role on the stage. Joan, what do you think of this sort of performance art? Is it all just a grift? Is it a way of loosening a few purse strings, or do you genuinely enjoy the performing arts that Vescom sometimes puts on show at the Minstrel's Mug?
I think with Jo, she sees it as you say, a way to gain a bit of pocket change, literally. But there might be a part of her that reminds her of her questionable upbringing when she wasn't somebody of such high esteem that she would be out there making ends meet, sneaking about, taking what she can, perhaps in a similar situation to Red, only she arrogantly or otherwise believes that she's in a much higher place and wouldn't dare mingle with the common filth.
And filthy they are. This is a rural, parochial, if you like, town. This isn't a place that's absolutely filled with bursting purses. And so the play begins. And Vescom, you take your position out of sight as much as possible, but eyes fixed on the stage, fixed on your Lucy, fixed on her role as Mary Magdalene. And somehow she steals the show, at least as it begins. Then again, that's not too much of a surprise. She is quite the enchanting object of your desire. You had hoped that Malina, a Rouen exile and artisan of Clan Toreador, another vampire of Thorns, frankly the only other vampire of Thorns outside you and Joan, might have attended, but she is not here for some reason. Show must go on, Vescom. The show must... And then the doors burst open, just as Judas plants his kiss on Jesus' cheek. This is where we meet our other 2 Canaanites. Layla and Warren. Layla, Warren, you have traveled far in Middle Ages terms. You were camped out in the woods, but then the howls started, and the more Griffith, your charge, shrieked and wailed and rent his clothes, the louder the howls became, the closer they became. Leela, you have always been incredibly talented at staying hidden in the wilds when you need to. You protected your mother in that way when you were mortal, but this charge of yours, Griffith de Percy, this so-called knight in your stead, has done nothing but act as a blight attached to you since you left Winchester. And this Warren is scarcely any better. He keeps speaking of things he's seeing, voices he's hearing. He's not quite as loud as Griffith, but between the two of them, it's like being saddled with a pair of lunatics, because, well, it is. They're both Malkavians, and you are a Tremere. A wonderful trio. You've arrived in Thorns because it's the last place you could hope to reach. The last bastion of safety before further wilds. Tell us, you're both saturated. The rain has been beating down heavily. If you weren't vampires, you'd probably be feeling the cold quite acutely. As it is, you just feel uncomfortable.
Layla steps into the tavern with her arms crossed, looking not particularly happy, kind of half dragging the two Malkavians along after her. And she'll turn to them and just say, "Please just keep quiet. Just a moment.
Of course. Of course.
Thank you."
I think his eyes look in, and if there's vision to the stage, seeing the type of play that's on, his eyes go wide immediately at the sight of these religious figures.
And I think Layla kind of sees him shut up, follows his gaze, sees his expression, and just, "No, whatever you're going to say, it can wait."
Right. And for his part, Warren is lean and wiry. You can see his hands are calloused and scarred. Clearly, a man of the soil, as it is, or a man of work. He has brown hair that's very wind-swept, wind-tossed, and it's currently damp. And he has pale hazel eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He's wearing a simple green tunic and hose, with brown wool hose and a linen undertow.
And Layla, by all accounts, is a very beautiful woman, but not particularly inviting in her expression, perhaps something that she's cultivated because her appearance alone does not keep people away as much as she would like it to. So she has long, dark hair that is currently soaked through with rain, even through, she pulls off the hood of her cloak that she was wearing, which is really, at this point, completely useless to stop the rain from soaking through. Her dark eyes kind of scan the room for a familiar face, one of the Canaanites that she's come to seek.
Well, your arrival is conspicuous, it has to be said. These performers are not nearly so well trained as to not halt their performance when the doors burst open, as if there were a fire outside and you were trying to escape it. Well, similar, you had the feeling there were lupines on your tail, at least until you reached the walls of thorns, Layla, and neither are things you particularly want to be caught in the middle of for overlong. And so all the actors have stopped. Warren, you mentioned that the sight of what is taking place on stage, these minimalistic costumes, but the very clear biblical performance that's taking place before you, you have been in a near constant state of hallucination since you encountered Layla, hell, since your embrace by Griffith. Seeing visions of God, of saints, other beings. You've barely registered the woman leading you through the wilderness, Layla, though as you've approached Thorns, the mists have started to clear and finally granted a moment or two of clarity. Hearing the lines of La Sainte Resurrection as you approached the minstrel's mug finally impaled you with calm, though as you stepped inside and the players all fell to a hush and stared at you. No, not at you. How could they have any eyes for you, Warren, or indeed Layla, when Griffith, your sire, is shrieking behind you, rending his clothes, toppling through not one but two benches of onlookers, before falling to wailing tears, blood just pouring in gouts, thick, bloody seep just oozing out of the corners of his eyes, down his cheeks, pooling in his ears. And the players, well, at least for now, prematurely ended, and with it the mists return, I'm afraid. No! No!
Griffith.
The blood of saints will boil the rivers. One Cainite, he shouts out. He
Griffith.
shouts out again. One Cainite
Stop it. Stop it
shall
right now.
answer.
Pull yourself together.
For Becket. For
So-
Becket, or all will burn, all will burn, all will burn. And he starts rolling side to side. His chest is now exposed. His clothes are in rags. He stands up. He looks around, wild-eyed.
Vescom, he is already marching over. He can't. His beast is rising to the surface. The first playing of La Sainte Resurrection is ruined. He's already given a glance towards Big Belko, his mercenary ghoul brute who works as essentially the bouncer and the security. And he nods a head, but Vescom's already coming over. He's not waiting for Belko. These people have ruined something precious to him.
Belko was stood by the doors when they were flung open, and he couldn't react fast enough to intercept Griffith, but now he is striding over to him and saying, "You get up," at which point Griffith basically snaps at him like an angry dog.
I think Warren moves to intercept Belko. He doesn't want to see Griffith be hurt or bothered. And he also doesn't want to see Belko the same. So he kind of moves in. He's like, "Please, sir, we'll get him under control. I apologize."
Belko looks over at you, Vescom. He then backs off. It isn't Warren's words. It's the look that's currently on Vescom's false face. It is one that says, this mask might not hold up for much longer. And as your ghoul, Belko probably has seen you in your true guise, but can do very little to resist staying in your service, given that he is addicted to your vitae. And so he starts backing up toward the open door. Everyone should calm. Everybody should calm down. Everybody should calm down right now, he says, his eyes not leaving Vescom.
Griffith, please.
Layla, your words seem to bounce off of Griffith. Warren, your words as well. This is a difficulty 8 roll. It is impressive that nobody in this coterie has presence. We do have some dominate if Joan decides to stride over and say, enough. But for the time being, we're going to go for a difficulty 8, some kind of charisma or... I don't think this is manipulation. We're definitely thinking charisma or appearance here, so I'll let you choose. And let's look at the skills, the abilities you could possibly deploy here. I'm thinking no one's being particularly intimidating, so probably expression,
Okay.
maybe empathy. So yeah, there you go. There's 2 possible attributes, 2 possible talents. You choose which ones you roll, and that applies to both of you, who are giving this a good college try.
As they are making their rolls, what is our noble lady doing, reacting to all of this?
She, unlike most of the people who are in attendance, very, very good question, Jack. Unlike most of the people in attendance who have either shot up from their benches and staggered away because this man appears to be some kind of madman who has stumbled in, could be a prophet, could be infectious, who knows. She has remained seated, but her hand is on her bodyguard's arm. Her bodyguard has stood up, and his hand is on the hilt of his sword, as if he's ready to draw it. You get the impression, I'm not going to make you roll for this, Jack, because it was a very good question. Her hand is there on his forearm, as if to say, no, don't draw your weapon. She doesn't look alarmed. She's watching everything that's going on, and she's basically keeping him from marching into the fray. So did either Ree or Bob get any 8s or above on your rolls?
1.
Goose egg for the Malkavian, but success from the Tremere. Well, never let it be said that the Tremere cannot be persuasive. Usually you have to use vitae to persuade people in this clan, but as it is, your words cut through to Griffith's lucid side, such as it is, briefly enough that you see the most peculiar thing. You don't know how long he's been a vampire. You've got very few details on such a thing. Why would you know? And yet he does something extraordinarily human. He blinks slowly, and as he blinks, calm descends over him. It isn't a soothing look. It's more of a passive, resigned look. The corners of his mouth turn down. He starts weeping again, but now he's doing it quietly. My
You have to
God,
help
there's
him.
blood on that man's cheeks. It's stigmata. One of the merchants in attendance is pointing down. He's bleeding from his eyes.
Please, if you can't already see, he's a bit troubled, and let's not make too much more of a fuss than we already have, please.
Enough! Vescom yells. He even tosses a bench with one hand off to the side.
Only gonna step in front of Griffith and Warren, if they have any chance of being caught in the fray of that, as they're her charges.
Vescom, seeing perhaps finally through the red, through the gnawing of the beast, a face that he recognizes. There's more bits to this story that, other than just an interruption to his own, he, at least the form, blinks and he growls, "Downstairs. No."
You heard him?
It's downstairs.
Not here. It's downstairs.
Accurate. One would assume a cellar. Do you have a cellar in your theatre tavern?
Vescom does. He's actually spent some time digging out what would be a normal size cellar for a building like this, but also he has hidden away further excavations, especially so that he can rest in them.
There's always something delightfully horrifying about the idea that when Nosferatu starts burrowing underground, they probably don't use tools. They just become utterly animalistic, and like a rat, they just start gnawing through all the soft wood, the roots, the mud, until they finally made a trench, and that's a good start. And then it gets wider and wider and wider until you've got an entire nest. So, sure, you have your own set of catacombs underneath the minstrel's mug, Vescom. Why not?
And they're chock full. He's a hoarder at heart, so don't think there's a lot of space down here. There's plenty of dug small rooms and perhaps tunnels, but they're just packed with nonsense, things he's collected from years ago, growing dusty and dirty, slimy even. Eventually, he will lead the group towards a particular carved out room. A dead end.
Before you address Layla and Warren and Griffith, who is being more or less dragged along at this point, Joan, you've witnessed this. You recognize some of these figures. And while you are, I think it's accurate to call you jaded as far as Cainites and mortals go, you're not someone who sees omens in absolutely everything that occurs. It is serendipitous that you know all three of these Cainites through one means or another, and that they are all here on this night. Vescom makes sense. Layla, usually you'd know if she was on her way to Thorns. You had heard of this young Malkavian on the road, in fact, from some of your bandits. There was a drooling, gibbering, vision-seeking Malkavian. You don't know if it's the younger one or the one who's thrashing around and now been dragged down to the cellar, but certainly Kismet, maybe? Fate? Bringing them all here? How do you act on this, Joan? Don't feel compelled to follow them if you don't want to.
I think it would be remiss of Joan not to follow, because with the recent assassinations, a weird display of Cainite heresy, just shouting this, that, and the other, worried townsfolk, it would be purely remiss of her not to go in and be a little bit curious and investigate, and at the very least it's bad for business. But before she integrates herself with the rest of the group, she will turn to Red and just very softly towards him, monitor the noble and her right arm. Come and get me if they do something interesting.
He simply nods. Whether that's because the supernatural effect of your domination is still affecting his tongue, or whether it's because he knows not to contradict you when you are clearly set on a task. Either way is good. So he doesn't interfere. He just looks at you. He nods. And his eyes travel back to Catherine of Reading and her bodyguard. As you make your way to the cellar, which adjoins the stage just behind a curtain at the staircase heading down, you can hear the play, I guess you could say, winding back up into action. Maybe that will reassure Vescom if you tell him that you hear Big John, in his role of Judas, announce to the crowd, well, now that all that excitement's over, let's go back to where we were. Don't you all want to see me kiss Jesus again? And there's some confused, yeah, let's watch Judas betray Jesus again responses. But the play starts up. Your reviews, then, there aren't reviews at this time, Vescom, but if there were, they wouldn't be good. So you are now in this muck-strewn cellar, and it has to be said, Vescom, that between your obsessions, your stalking, and your hoarding, you are a very appealing Nosferatu. Joan, you've been in better places. Layla, you're, of course, more used to the open air. Obviously, when you sleep outdoors in the wilderness, you know how to dig a hole. You know how to make a burrow for yourself, or frankly, build a hut, temporary or otherwise. This is... Warren, for you, it's just pleasant to be out of the rain.
Good. So I think as Vescom arrives in the particular room that he is leading the others, his frustration has flowed over to the point where he does not care to keep his pleasant form anymore. It drops. The old man face seems to fall off in clumps as beneath it his true form emerges. It's an abomination. A hunched back, twisted spine, limbs bent at odd angles. Even just his profile is a nightmare. Beneath the form that's shifting away is pale flesh, scarred, has pulsing black veins, bubbling boils. Somehow, it even gets worse as his face, the bottom of his face, is just ripped open and sprouts countless fangs, creating a horrific maw that liplessly dribbles black ichor. Sloshing about inside seems to be more than a single tongue, even. You can perhaps see strange worm-like things, and even one slithers up to his sickly green eye that never blinks. There is no eyelids. There is only a tongue to wipe away the muck.
My child, you bring me here to hell. You bring me here. You bring me here to see the devil. Is this my crime? Is this my punishment? Is this because of what I did?
No, but it can be
don't know.
arranged.
This is the safest place for us at the moment, I'm afraid. Does not please me either.
With this fiend?
Safe! As Vescom speaks his true voice dribbles out. Safe is not what I would say you are right now. Why have you ruined my play?
That is your concern right
play.
now.
It is. It is vital for this night. But clearly, we have those with no respect for domain.
Unfortunately, we were left without any other option. If you give me a moment to explain, I'm happy to do so. But I'll need you to calm down. Exum.
Calm down, yes. Yes. Let's all calm down as the night still has a chance. And Vescom seems to do a very theatrical inhale of unnecessary air. It gurgles down through his disgusting throat.
What if I
Very
told you that I have
repulsive.
another story for you?
Vescom freezes as another worm-like tongue wipes his eye. Oh, it better be good. It better be.
It's a tale of murder and betrayal and conspiracy. The church and the Cainites. The
That
king.
pricks your ears, Jones. Church at play. There's threads you might be able to pull. Do continue, Ree.
I can assume that we've all heard the news of our dear bishop.
Archbishop. He was the Archbishop. The Archbishop.
Same difference.
Had to
Living
be
saint.
sure. Living saint. He was the living saint. Our Jesus. Our Christ. Our Christ.
Now, Griffith, what makes you say that exactly? Did you see something? Experience something?
I scattered his blood to the stones.
Yes, you've gone over that part. And then what?
It still marks my hands, you see. It doesn't. This is his blood.
Yeah.
This is Griffith's blood.
She's going to pull just like a rag out from. She has kind of along her belt, like a satchel and some dried herbs that she typically carries for remedies. She'll kind of pull out like a rag and just kind of gently take Griffith's hands and kind of start wiping the blood off.
No! He pulls back. He practically falls into your arms, Warren.
Warren
Do not
catches
wipe
him.
the saints. Do not wipe the saints' blood off of me. Do not.
Right.
We cannot wipe away the sin. We cannot cleanse the sin.
All right, whatever you say, but what I need you to tell me, first of all, is why. You've told me that you did it. You haven't told me why.
God asked me, told me to. I had no choice. It is my damnation.
Why?
Fitzursa, de Morville, Le Breton, de Percy, the four of us. We were all of us commanded. They were commanded by the king, and I was commanded by God. God told me to do it. I thought it was to please the Lord.
No,
But
he
I've
thought-
been used as a tool, a weapon of great sin. Why would God do this to me? He looks to you, Joan. You are a woman of faith. You are a woman of belief. I can sense the church in your veins. Why would God make me do this to his chosen son.
Is there some sort of role that Joan can make? Because clearly, I'm not sure whether Joan would have any idea who this individual is, but they are seeping at the pores of the Clan of the Moon. And she wants to try and see how much of this is just Malkavian nonsense shenanigans or how much of it is some sort of charade, just so I can get a read of him.
That's, again, a very good question, Jack. Let's go for... If you're just trying to read him, we could call it perception and empathy. I'll let you use your attentive specialty. If we're talking more occult, yeah, you could use perception and occult. It's not a usual pairing, but I'll allow you to use that instead. Difficulty is going to be a 7 in this case.
Okie dokes. And how is it that you're treating the specialties in this?
Specialties, let's see. I'm open to suggestions. Do you want them to be bonus dice? Or do you want them to give you the option of 10s? I don't like exploding 10s. We'll just call them bonus dice for the time being.
Okay, then I'll add an additional d10, taking 5 to a nice 6. We like even numbers.
Viewers and players will have to excuse that I play very flexibly with the Storyteller system. I sometimes change which rules I want to use for fun.
What was the difficulty you asked for?
7s.
7, then that would be 3 successes.
Okay, yeah, undoubtedly a member of the Clan of the Moon. I mean, this is Malkavian conduct through and through. Not that this is the first lunatic you've ever encountered. You've encountered many Malkavians and otherwise. But you can smell the stench of death about him. It isn't just that he has murdered a man. He gives off no odor of the living. What's more, in terms of his derangement, so to speak, the way he is conducting himself, yes, there is an air of Cainite lunacy about this. But there is something more to it. It is as if his, and this is speaking to the occult nature of your role, it is as if he has seen something he shouldn't. It's as if he has, well, seen the face of God, or heard the voice of the devil, or dabbled in an art he should never have probed, touched, or examined, because this is not the kind of Malkavian who's going to have moments of lucidity. Warren, his child, he introduced as his child, is, for the time being, calm. You don't think this Griffith is ever going to be calm. He is in a permanent state of, well, insanity.
Okay. With all that in mind and the questions that he has just essentially vomited upon Joan questioning or probing at her faith, she will just nod as politely as the situation will allow and just go, yes, you could say that I have leanings with the Christian church, and as a woman of faith, as she was going to say politely but interrupts herself, delicately put it. It is down to us, and she'll gesture to the two of them as such, to cast the light upon our sins, to not so much wash away as Layla here is so poorly informed, but to bring it to the surface, to talk about them openly, and not let our inner demons be shrouded in darkness. And she tries really hard not to smirk at that because of who and what she is.
Yeah. Layla actively rolls her eyes.
He clutches at your claws, Vescom. I am sorry for breaking up your charade, monster.
It is not okay, but you will surely make it up to everyone here, I'm sure. And how are we to begin? What has brought you here in particular? As Vescom looks up from the man and around to Warren and to Layla.
Let's give Warren a spotlight here. Bob.
Indeed. We're on the run. We've been on the run. And how we got here was there were the forest and there was the howling.
Hell's hounds.
And I saw him. I saw him just off in the woods. I saw him walking. That's why I know he's a living saint, because he's still with us. He's still with us, and I saw him. And he looks blankly towards Layla.
My child, he clutches your shoulder and squeezes with painful tightness, saw God walking in the woods.
Yes. Yes, that's right. And it wasn't long after that the howling began. It was a warning. It was portents.
Layla kind of leans over and just says, "Yes, as matter would have it, screaming and running and causing a commotion in the midst of the wilderness does attract wolves and the like."
Maybe God is intervening to save us. Maybe God is driving us in this direction so that we can be saved. And the howls are from his angels. His seraphim are intervening to offer us salvation. Could that be it, Lady of Faith? He looks to you again, Joan. Maybe, perhaps, maybe that we have been driven here for sanctuary? Am I forgiven?
I think it requires just a little bit more prying within your clearly blackened soul for such crimes. If I'm understanding this correctly, the murder of our dear Archbishop
Oh,
has also attracted the attention of the Lupines, and it was a sensible idea to bring this blabbering heretic on our doorstep.
good bedside manner.
Layla just kind of curtsies in a mockery. Unless you have a better suggestion.
I do. See, there are, let's see, the most potent of our kind in this area up in Winchester. But wouldn't you know who that regent in particular is? Why is the Tremere, with their many mystical wards and protections, not harboring this, well, quite interesting murderer?
Murderer.
Because those above cannot be bothered to sort out the details, but yet have not willing to take care of matters in their own hands, and so they have tasked me with seeking out the information far enough away so that the commotion is not in their laps.
Cannot be bothered, Layla. You need to spend time back at the Chantry and learn the correct terms are things like they are too busy with more important duties. You need another dose of Tremere Vitae in your
Absolutely
system,
she
I think.
does.
Too long spent in the wilderness, I suspect. Warren, your sire is now looking at you. He's confused, and you've found that the only times he has entered anywhere approaching lucidity is when he's addressing you directly. And he is now, his hands are on both of your shoulders. Warren, my boy, my sin.
Yes.
You remember where I found you, yes, exiting that den of iniquity where you had sampled the flesh of maidens and beasts.
He looks embarrassed, but he nods. Yes.
And I knew upon seeing you that you would be the perfect vessel for my sin, that I might free myself by pouring all of my vice into you.
Is this the first time he's heard that part?
That is your choice. Do you think this is something he tells you every damn night? Like a parent at the end stage of dementia when all they can do is remind you what a fuck up you've been? Yeah, that's grim, I know.
I think that one.
Yes. Or is this a revelation?
I think the first makes more sense.
Mm.
So he looks
You
oddly
remember.
not offended by it, but very very sorrowful. Of course, I am
Why
your
has
sin.
you are my sin. You are my sin. You were a sinner and you are my sin. And why is my heart still so black?
I don't know, but someone will know. And if we keep following the signs, the right ones, we will get our answers. We just have to keep trying. We have to keep moving. We have to keep moving. Why are we stopping? And he's starting to get a little raised at this point, little
They
elevated.
led us here to this ignominious tomb, he says, looking around at this murky catacomb filled with collected debris, detritus, random trinkets and tchotchkes from around the British Isles. This must have some meaning. This must have some meaning. We are here for a reason. We are. My son. We will find salvation here.
You're right. That he kind of scans the room, almost looking past everyone.
Vescom,
Yes. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Law. Go ahead, Joan.
I was just wondering, on the topic of scanning about, does these particular catacomb cellar thing have a door to them? And if so, is it currently shut?
to this room, it's less of a door and more of a large broken dresser that looks ancient that was dragged out of the way and then shoved back into the doorway.
Okay. That's just going to affect what may happen, what I may do next, but there was somebody that wanted to do something next, and I don't want to interrupt too much.
I think then Vescom, who has been very interested in this whole unloading of history, of personalities, in his mind, characters, he's been watching almost obsessively, taking a step forward towards whoever's speaking so he can hear just a little bit better.
Indeed, you can just hear the muffled voices of your players upstairs performing, and now that's becoming a source of irritation because it's almost a distraction from this soap opera, this drama that's going on in front of you.
Exactly. His eye, or his head rather, flicks up towards the ceiling of this catacomb for just a second before twitching back down. So if I understand how this goes, did you do some kind of a ritual? What's the details, Griffith? How did you intend to transfer to this young Knight here? Is this? And he gives a glance over to the Tremere. Is this some kind of magic?
Magic, delusion. How should I know? That's what I'm here to figure out.
Not delusion.
Of course not.
No. 3 swords. One unholy cloth. He slips his hand into the rags that are still clad to him. Bear in mind, he tore most of his surcoat and tunic away, but he puts his hand inside. Blood on the altar. The king drinks the saint's sin. And you see his fist ball up inside his vest, as if he's holding on to something.
Would any of this ring of anything notably occult?
Yeah, that's a good question too. I would suggest so. It sounds very ritualistic. I mean, a murder can, of course, just be a murder. But when we're talking about a living saint, when we're talking about blood spilled on an altar, when we're talking about, well, this affliction, which Joan has noted this isn't just trauma following killing somebody. This is a full-blown mental break. There is something of an occult nature that has occurred here. Whether he was compelled to do it as part of a ritual, or whether he was enacting a ritual and things just got out of control, you don't know that.
Now, when did God first speak to you?
God has always spoken to me, and here he goes again.
When did he first tell you to commit this act?
Yes, it was an act. That is what it was. It was no crime. If God commands you to do something, it cannot be a sin.
I should say, not that I suppose God always has his reasons for things.
And it is not for little minds such as yours to understand them.
Afraid not.
I heard his voice the 10 nights before, and I did not even know. I did not even know the other knights and the cleric who were pursuing this end. You see, I did not hear the words of the king. I was not in his chambers. Was not in his court. I had not freshly returned from the Crusades, some drunken night, hearing, "Who will rid me of this turbulent priest?" And yet I knew before the king had even spake those words that those knights would feel compelled. And I knew that I had to reach the archbishop, that I had to deliver the lethal blow, and so I arrived at the cathedral. And where the cathedral should have beat me back with power of faith alone. And now this may not be something all vampires have come into contact with, but again, speaking to Joan's religious links, Joan is well and truly familiar with the fact that there are some consecrated grounds you just do not enter, at risk of obliteration, or at least a savage burning. I could step over the threshold freely. I led the knights to him, you see. And when they expressed doubt, I told them that there was no sin in this. I told them that the Lord commanded it, and their beatings were futile, they were meek, they were petty. One of them used the pommel of the sword, and that hurt the priest, the living saint, hard, but it was not so much as the blade that struck the top of his skull clean off. That was my doing.
Good. And,
Okay.
what after?
Blackness, inferno, hell. I have his blood still here. He pulls a rag out from inside his vest now, what he was clutching onto. It is a small rag, all told. It would fit in the palm of his hand. Must have had it on him ever since you first picked him up in Winchester. This is the saint's blood. And he, at any point, could have simply looked at me and driven me away, you understand? You understand, do you not, woman of the church? You understand he could have looked at me and burned me like the sun.
Can
But
I roll to
he
see?
allowed me to do this.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can I roll to see if he's lying at all? Because as you mentioned, and as I, in and out of character, was thinking, Winchester should have torn him asunder.
Well, Canterbury Cathedral, should have disintegrated him.
Canterbury, yes, sorry.
Thomas Becket, no, you're not incorrect, because Canterbury Cathedral should have ripped him to pieces. Thomas Becket could have obliterated him. And since then, he has been in Winchester, and it is highly likely that he, in his religious mania, has visited the cathedral there as well. What you're looking at here, you don't need to roll for this, Jack. You can to see whether he's telling the truth, but if what he is saying is true, this is a Malkavian who can receive the warmth of true faith without so much as blanched skin. So, if you're trying to determine whether this is all hokum, delusion, or the like, let's go for, and I know this isn't your strong suit, but we're going to go for wits and empathy this time, I think.
And what difficulty?
Difficulty in this case is 6s.
Awesome. I got no successes, and one of those dice was a 1.
In that case, I leave it entirely up to you what you think. You tell me, Jack. What does Joan think of this? Because whatever you think is exactly what you think.
Well, there's a huge part of this where Joan is getting increasingly irate with all of this, and she is very tempted just to tell him the definition of darkness. But I think, like, there's just a part of her that's beginning to think that maybe that he is somebody with some essence of true faith upon him that which would grant him, at least from her, in this case, misinterpreted understanding, would grant him some form of protection.
So, jaded and frustrated, but also curious, can sum up your feelings towards him right now. He looks around to the four of you. He smiles at you, Warren, which is very disconcerting. I feel like this is the place that I was destined for. That this is where God will judge me. But my lady shepherd, he says, looking to you, Layla. He's clearly never gone to the trouble of learning your name, or he's forgotten it. I find myself now between Trinity, he says, utterly ignoring Warren, despite Warren's obvious role in a Trinity here. I have the shepherd, I have the devil, and I have the church.
Right.
I am not to be destroyed. You understand that, don't you? Your masters, your sorceress,
Yes, you are
heretic
to be,
masters told
to
you I
be
was not to be
protected.
destroyed.
Yes.
Yes, that is true. Only God can destroy me, and until I am cleansed of this sin, I should not be destroyed because, and I am sure of this, if I am slain premature, I will be infested with so much sin that I will be consigned to hell for 1,000 lifetimes. I must be free to cleanse myself of sin before I greet the dawn, and God once more. He says that with some confidence, resoluteness, and basically folds his arms. That's an emphatic statement. You've got to keep me alive until I purify my conscience.
Who is the devil in this?
The monster, he says, gesturing at the Nosferatu in your midst.
Vescom at this point has already whipped out a small piece of parchment and is like dribbling words onto it with a wretched pen. But when it's gestured to him, he like turns around to look behind him, like there's a monster that just so happens to be behind him. And
No, I am not, please, he says, reaching out. I am not being crude or unpleasant when I refer to you as the devil. You see, you are the devil. You note down every word, every sin, every feeling and inclination for your record, because it is your duty as the devil, no? To observe and take joy in people's misery. I understand it is a necessary part of this trinity. I do not judge you, monster.
the devil. I've never thought of it that way. I perhaps don't agree completely, but I do look a certain way. I'm not ignorant of that. Perhaps this is how the devil does work and look. However, you have come to the so-called devil's doorstep here. What is to be expected? For you to stay in my little hell? To be protected from your hunters? Because make no mistake, there will be people hunting after you, and not just wolves. So what do you expect? What do you expect of the devil?
Even the devil is subject to God. And again, he
Perhaps.
says that with complete confidence.
And Vescom holds up a crooked claw, one finger. Perhaps. But you are not God. Perhaps a warrior of God, but you are not God. So,
Oh, please, he's
I
hardly
ask
a
you
warrior.
again. Well, he did cut off a head like from the top with a sword. Isn't that what it qualifies? I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Warren,
like Warwick?
I can feel the pains of the demons. His words, they are troubling me. Warren, my son, tell him to stop. Tell the devil to stop with his gnashing of teeth and licking of tongues.
You need to stop. You heard him. Stop.
I need to stop, but not yet. Who is this one? Not part of the Trinity. Warren, is it? And Vescom takes a step and another step closer to this young man, young K-Knight especially, and starts to almost circle around him, taking a few more steps.
Kind of winces and turns his head to the side as if to get it further back than it can possibly go, just to clear some distance. I am his sin.
He is sin. You should know that. Satan.
Well, perhaps. But you're going to put sin within sin? I'm not sure if that's going to work. Too much sin.
As you say this, you hear another raised voice from above, and it isn't one of the actors. It is a masculine voice shouting loudly, "Hear me now! Those who provide sanctuary to sinners, murderers, and thieves shall be judged as wicked."
Well, look at that. The trumpet of
And
God calls to thee.
Griffith looks at Vescom and says, "I think he's talking about you."
Vescom gurgles out a giggle, his countless teeth chittering. Seems like the minstrel's mug has another guest. I need to go see to them now. What are you all going to do?
Lady Shepherd, may I stay down here in these catacombs? I feel this is a safe place for me. No sunlight can get in. I will be left with my thoughts. Warren, my son, you can explore, find out whether this place is indeed my Jerusalem. Lady of the church, please build a church over me and bring God's love to me. And Lady Shepherd, you have done so much to protect. I have your answers. Please allow me to dig inside myself for them a little further.
Of course. To do you well to have some rest, I think, and shall turn to. Shall we then?
Gladly, gladly. I appreciate this wonderfully enlightening start to this story. Each and every one of you. And Vescom looks to each in turn with a crooked smile before going and taking a step towards the dresser that was the so-called door and wrenches it with a clawed hand.
Layla, before they go out to be among people, is gonna turn to Warren and just say, "How are you feeling? Are you all right?"
I am all right, yes. He kind of keeps looking back like he wants to stay, but he's been ordered to do so. Lead the way, Lady Shepherd.
Your sire will be safe here, safer, and it is best for us to understand what's going on up there.
Of course.
Vescom's going to whisper something to the older lady and say, our people are not going to be safe. We aren't going to be safe with these here. We need to take precautions.
She just slowly nods.
A conversation for later, perhaps. And Vescom, as he speaks the last words, almost sloughing back onto his skin is the image of his more commonly seen owner of the minstrel's mug as he ascends with the group up to the top.
Well, let's roll for that, please, Zack. Let's roll for your Mask of 1,000 Faces as you're
Sure.
re-entering the public gallery and see whether this is a chance for a catastrophic failure.
Yes. Okay, so I believe it's manipulation and performance.
At a difficulty of 7.
All right, he is pretty good at this. He has 8 dice.
Given the number of dots you put in Obfuscate, I would damn well hope so.
Yes.
For the sake of the viewers, it is always very rare, I find, for a player to put all of their discipline dots in one discipline and then buy additional dots with their freebie points. If you
Yes.
can't put it past Zack, he loves his Nosferatu.
Oh,
And
I
he loves
do.
his Obfuscate. A self-hating Nosferatu. The best kind.
So basically,
I
all of them.
got
Yes.
yes, yes.
Don't look at me.
2, 3, 4. So he's got 4 successes. If ones are subtract a success, then he's
Ones
got
are not subtracting successes. Ones will count as a botch if you get no successes and a 1.
Okay, so he's got 5, including a 10, but that's not a
That's
specialty.
fine. No, 10s count as 2 successes. At least the way I run it. And so that's a 6 successes. Wow. Well, in that case, you can appear however you damn well choose. Are you going back up as the Master of Ceremonies? Or is there not the one from Cabaret, though that would fit a Nosferatu? Or are you affecting a different appearance?
He needs to make an appearance as the owner once again, especially if this is somebody from who may recognize the owner. So he needs to take that authority. He's going to take that appearance.
Very good. That just leaves you, Joan. Are you ascending as well?
Joan would ascend, yes, making the deliberate choice to be the last one behind, just so she could have just a moment with our guest, just to politely say, in order to confront and absolve your sins, you must challenge them and retread the bits that cause the most discomfort. And whilst Thorns can't offer the most sanctuous of holy sites, perhaps together, assuming that nothing too troublesome transpires above, we can challenge that darkness together.
You are right. The knights, they weep blood and they talk to shadows. The land is cursed where I walk.
Well, you needn't walk it alone. And unless he has anything else to part, she'll just smoothly turn, and perhaps the first time that evening will give a little grin to herself, because she's doing this for all the wrong reasons, and she will join the rest up above.
I think that's the motto of Clan La Sombra, isn't it?
I think so, yes.
Do the right thing for the wrong reasons, or the wrong thing for the right reason. And no, usually the first one. Never do anything for the right reason. You ascend then. And, well, Vescom, in all the excitement, you really aren't sure how long you and your coterie have been in your subterranean haven, but it certainly appears that the play has come to an end. Maybe they couldn't find their pace, maybe they wrapped up a little more quickly, maybe they forgot their lines. Frankly, it all feels significantly less important than it did before. They are sitting around drinking ale from the barrel as others are. The fire is roaring in the center of the inn, or the tavern, I should say, and has moved closer to this Catherine of Reading, though he hasn't engaged her in conversation or anything like that. He is just sitting there, playing with some coins, pushing them, a common game, to see how many coins it takes to push one off the edge of the bench, but his eyes are clearly on her. Almost everybody here is ignoring the new arrival. Nothing is going to match up to the havoc that was caused when these three showed up. There is a priest. He is bearded, quite old in the face. You would put him in his mid to late 40s. There's grey in his beard and it's thin on top. You don't recognize him. He is wearing a black cassock, but has the regal bearing of a priest rather than a monk. I tell you, those who provide sanctuary to sinners are themselves in sin. Why are you all deaf to my words? We've just listened and watched the resurrection of Christ. What do you have to tell us, old man? I am a man of God, and letters, and ciphers. My word should affect you unless this entire town is baked in devilry. Why don't you fuck off? The priest is somewhat taken aback. The speaker is the frankly disconsolate bearded William, who was until recently playing Jesus Christ. I cannot believe this. I cannot believe the way I am being spoken to. I am a priest. I am the priest of Abingdon. Does that mean nothing to you? Where's Abingdon? There you go.
Layla kind of stands against the wall. She pulls up her cloak a bit, just wary of the presence of any church member, particularly one that she isn't familiar with. But will kind of just stand back and let the tavern owner address it.
Vescom and Joan, as you are residents of Thorns, you can recognize the behavior of bearded William as frankly strange. But it isn't just bearded William. The widespread ignorance of the populace within your tavern theatre is surprising. Priests command respect. Next to nobles, well, to be honest, more so than nobles, priests are practically the law. They have their own set of laws, and if anything, they're worse than the king's laws in terms of how exacting they happen to be. That he has arrived here as a preacher and is trying to command them via some kind of evangelical sermon, and they are roundly telling him to fuck off back to Abingdon, is, well, it's unheard of. This is the kind of thing that would get you whipped through the street.
And I
Joan
think...
will...
Or go ahead.
I was just going to say that Joan will just say quietly but loud enough for the group to hear, just to say, something's amiss. She looks to Vescom to see what to do as she sort of like edges her forward a little bit to try and intervene, but she does not want to intervene because this isn't her domain, so to speak.
I think Vescom has many a times had to smooth over problematic interactions. And this is one of those times. He puts his arms wide and has a toothy smile and says, "My godly fellow, I apologize. Tonight has been stressful for all of us. And even those who have been up on the stage reenacting the most holy of plays and performance. It is still a stressful time to be such godly people on stage. I apologize for the reactions. They are resting. How can I help you? I am the proprietor of this tavern."
Perhaps that explains the conduct of these people. He gestures at the barrels of ale. Now, we're not talking about kegs with taps. These are barrels where people will dip their cups in. The deeper they get, the stronger the fermentation and the thicker the booze that they are basically sucking up. And they are drinking heavily. And he gestures at the barrels and says, "You are commander over a house of sin and villainy and gluttony. These people, your people, have filled their bellies with this fermented brew, and it has made them lose sight of God. You are to blame, sir. And I will be taking this to the Church of St. Anselm, which is the only church in Thorns, and informing your priest. And if he will not listen because perhaps he is here also drunk, I will inform your baron. What say you to that?
Not a man to get in the way of godly people. Priests, preachers like yourself, if you feel compelled and driven to report these indiscretions, these performers who are now at rest after giving such a grand display of La Sainte Resurrection, then I cannot stop you.
And
A
in fact, I would
parody
even
of Christ's resurrection. A parody performed for entertainment.
Warren runs out the door of the place, almost right through this priest at that point.
Layla goes running after him. What are you doing?
I need to get out of here. This isn't right. You heard the one from the church, that the lady, she said that there's something amiss. I need to find it. If there's something amiss, then it must be we're on the wrong path. We have to get back on the path. I'll find it. I'll find out. I'll find what is needed. He starts to almost as he exits the place, he starts to pace from one, object to the next, whatever's in the road, almost kind of probably creating a little bit of attention for anyone that's out in the street at night.
Yes, this late at night, there shouldn't be anybody out, but Layla and Warren both, as you exit the tavern theatre, you, of course, drift further and further away from the light. There are no outdoor illuminations beyond the stars above, and while the rain has ceased, the clouds are still present, making it very dim indeed. And so you turn around in your disorientation, Warren, and you hear it before you see it. Layla as well. There are two... At first you think it's two people fucking against the wall of the tavern theatre, outside. And then you realize there's three of them. There are three people. You recognize two of them are some of the actors that you saw on stage. They are in a state of copulation, quite gymnastic in their maneuvering. Layla, I mean, you're cynical enough to be able to, almost applaud. Warren, for you, a vessel of sin, well, this is the kind of thing you were paying to do on the night of your embrace. But this, again, is remarkable. Open-air orgy that is taking place.
And whilst this is going on, I'm going to commit to what I was going to do in the first place. Joan would,
Yes.
at some point between the conversation between Vescom and... I've completely forgotten the priest's name, if it was at all mentioned.
I don't think he's even introduced himself by name.
That
No
might
one
be why I
asked.
don't remember it. Joan would approach him and eagerly apologize on the behalf of everyone, introduce herself as the noble lady that she is clearly masquerading to be. You see what I did there? And
That's
do her
very good.
best. Thank you, Franco. And do her best to coerce him to lead him to where it said that he wanted to go, just on the hope that maybe she could employ something a bit more of a supernatural to see if she can find out his true purpose, or at the very least to quell him into silence, which would involve taking him out of the building and that.
Yes, indeed. Well, okay, so Joan, short of putting your arm around him, he does concede to traveling with you for a couple of reasons. One, he wants out of this den of vice. And two, you do have the affectation of a noble. And right now, you are one of the very few people here who is not gorging themselves in some way. He points back at you, Vescom, as Joan leads him away and says, I am not done with you, sir. Not by any measure. Come, my lady, we must leave this place. I would not usually travel alone with a lady after dark, but it seems you are the only person of my God, he says, turning as he leaves the tavern.
Joan would just sort of, probably used to this sort of thing as the sort of people that she interacts with, will just saying, oh my goodness, How vile!
Man is dressed as Jesus Christ.
With a parsnip.
I must get to the church. I must reach the church.
Agreed, the less that we see of that, the better. And you shall do your best to like, try and overly dramatic, like, mask his view from that.
Yes, let's keep the priest innocent.
Oh.
Look.
I think kind of as they're like walking away, Layla will just mutter to Warren. Someone so disinterested, he suddenly looked a little bit long, don't you think?
Right. Yeah. Well, what does it mean?
The orgy.
Kind of looks back, and it's like startled again, almost like he'd lost
Yes.
track of it.
It does appear that Mary is currently going down on her own son, but she comes up for breath long enough. You're all children. Juvenile. This is horror. She
It is horror.
she comes up for air for long enough to point at you, Warren, and beckon. There's plenty of room to celebrate Jesus's cross,
Layla's
let's say.
kind of not going to stop you from having a good time if that's what you want. Just
I
be
am
careful,
his sin.
don't you
And
dry anyone up.
I don't see why he wouldn't.
Well, Layla, I don't know whether it's to your surprise, but
Nothing surprises her.
Warren totters off in the direction of the threesome and makes it a
Awesome.
exciting four-way.
Yeah. Nothing surprises her, especially when it comes to men.
I think Vescom is looking to round up his crew, and he might leave the establishment to come across this scene. And even Vescom balks for a second. Just to check, this is definitely not your average Thursday night, right?
No. This is not normal conduct in a good God-fearing town like Thorns. Even in the tavern theatre, it's uncommon for orgies to take place on your front doorstep.
That's roiling beast flares again as Vescom's face. The owner of the minstrel's mug starts to stomp closer to the group.
Layla's going to try to intersect him.
Yes. Do you need to say something? Do you have a comment about what's happening here?
I just think that you have more important things to pay heed to right now, don't you? Perhaps we could go inside and talk.
I think I need to save the reputation of my establishment from any more embarrassment. It won't take long to break up this coupling.
Whatever you say.
Vescom gives his own little curtsy, but there's no joy in it as he turns to get close to the now foursome. I think he's even a little surprised that Warren is here now.
Well, Warren, before you are pulled out of the throes of passion, you can have taken a couple of mouthfuls of blood if that's your wish. It would be difficult to suppress that lust, and what's more, you're not going to find any resistance here.
Do I know who? So it was just because he's super religious. It's Christ, Mary, and who was the third figure?
One of the merchants from inside. Okay. I'm sure you could find some religious meaning behind Christ, Mary, and a merchant copulating.
It's a holy experience.
You can find trinities in anything, and you went and ruined it. But no. Which one are you biting into? Just out of plain curiosity.
The merchant.
The merchant. You're not sacrilegious, after all.
Yeah.
Well, you can take 2 blood points from the merchant.
Okay.
And certainly his potency in the sexual act is going to, let's call it, wither slightly when 2 blood points are drained from him. but that he can be put to other uses. Now, Vescom, you're approaching to separate this stain on your reputation, but Joan, you're taking the priest across town to St. Anselm's Church. I cannot fathom it. I cannot understand it. My lady, what is amiss with this town?
Father, I wish I could answer that, but as an
Is this a
interesting...
regular happening?
Oh, I assure you it is not. This is quite unusual.
That I'm afraid to say makes some sense to me.
So,
The devil has arrived in this town, and obviously the thought will cross your mind, oh God, not another one. But he looks at you pointedly. He says, there is a carrier, my lady, of the devil's blood. This is what I have heard. Traveling from Winchester south. And it was my road that brought me here. I wish to witness it. I wish to try and purify it.
using command again, she will ask, heard from whom?
Ooh, okay, let's get the roll then. His willpower is going to be slightly higher, I'm afraid, Jack. You're going to be going for a difficulty of 6, which shouldn't trouble you too badly, but let's see. You failed a dice roll already.
Would my specialty in manipulation of persuasive work here?
Yes, because he already feels compelled to answer you. Right now, you are the only sane voice in a town that is rapidly devolving.
Okie dokie. And so the difficulty was 6, you say?
6 in this case. His willpower is 6. This priest with no name.
That's 5
He
successes.
does have a name, viewers. 5 successes, my God.
One of them is a 10.
Okay, so that's 6 successes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, by any measure, exceptional, critical, if you will. In fact, I would go so far as to say this. While there is no rule for it, if you were to achieve any kind of exceptional success on a dominate, he is not going to know that he has been dominated. This is the most skillful art of domination. He is going to feel like he wanted to tell you this. Then not only is he telling you this in confidence, but that you are someone who can be trusted. Basically, it's the whole package, everything you could want out of someone dominated. And so he leans in, conspiratorial, to confide Brother Samson of Tours, a Dominican inquisitor, a keen sense for devils in flesh. I first came upon him in Canterbury, where I went to pray over the body of our deceased Archbishop. Brother Samson, he said that the killers of our living saint, Thomas Becket, were more than human. Some of them were just human tools and capable of being forgiven, but one, at least one, was a devil. And there is more. And he looks around. Now it's pantomime-like. He's checking his shoulders and puts a hand to his mouth. There's no one else on the street. And for that, you can be quite glad, Joan, because there is a feeling like if there was anyone out right now, they'd probably be doing something pretty damn sinful. There was no blood left beyond what stained the stones. The blood had been taken. One of the knights, Le Breton, has already been captured, and he said that the devil in human flesh collected the blood of our Archbishop for some foul purpose. He contained it in a flask, or I do not know. I was not there. There are many rumors, but Brother Samson says that our Archbishop cannot be laid truly to rest until his blood is returned. That his body has been desecrated, you see, and I have followed here. It will not be long, I am sure, before Brother Samson and his league follow the same path, but I ventured here as a scout, if you will, to speak with the priest in this town. I had hoped to arrive before sunset and speak with him, but when I arrived, the only lights I could see, torchlights flickering, were from within that den of iniquity. Can I trust you to keep this confidence?
You may, Father. I applaud and appreciate your trust in me with this truly abhorrence. And then she would do with a dramatic stage whisper, Satanism.
You hope to never see it, to witness it firsthand. But I fear that the two of us have just waded through a mire of lust and bodily excreta.
Yes, my heart is filled with many a heavy, filthy sin. I share your pain, Father, and providing you allow, I'd like to gently place an arm on his shoulder as a sign of comfort.
He looks down at your hand. Maybe he is affected by the feelings in town. Or maybe he just trusts you implicitly because he does not brush your hand away. He looks down at it, he looks back up at you and says, I am glad that I have found the one pure soul in this place. I only hope that the priest in St. Anselm's is similarly free of this burning affliction.
I'm sure he will be your true salvation. I am but just a glimmer of hope.
Now, Jack, are you actually going to take him to St. Anselm's, or is your intention to basically feed from this guy and dump him in a ditch?
I think that is the eventual end point, but there was a lot of important names and things that I don't think she has any real association. This seems like above and beyond your usual church gossip, as it were. So she would like to, I don't know how you would want to stretch out this inquiry of information, but when she feels that she's acquired all that she can, best thing would be to get rid of him, because he currently seems to be the biggest danger. And it'd be quite easy to explain his disappearance.
It would. He does appear to have travelled here alone. Okay. Father Edric, I'm telling you his name because no one will probably repeat it in future, and every NPC, living or dead, deserves a name before their destruction. Is not a man possessed of true faith or of holy weapons. He's not an inquisitor. He's not a hunter. He is a humble priest. You do not need to roll, Jack, to overpower him. He trusts you implicitly. When you go in to, let's say, hold him briefly, or to take him to where he thinks the church is, but you're actually taking him to a thicket where you can snap his neck or rip his throat open. The only resistance he puts up is, it's more through confusion than fight. He genuinely doesn't understand what has just happened to him, because the dark magic that you've worked on his mind doesn't allow him to understand. It doesn't allow him to see what has happened until maybe those last flickering seconds. How is it that you dispatch Father Edric?
I want to say haphazardly / lazily, so it looked like he's had a bit of a trip and broke his neck or something.
And you have some, let me just check your sheet. Well, you didn't stack up impotence at all. He is old enough that, yes, you could manage that, I think. Use a little bit of blood, pump up your strength, basically find a drop where the cobblestones slide away into a ditch, give him a shove, jump down there, bring a stone down on the back of his neck hard. It's an easy thing to fix. And this ditch, well, much like most ditches in places like this, it's an open sewer. With this much rain, he'll be covered for the next couple of days.
What a night's work.
Yes, what a glorious end for a faithful priest. Now, Vescom, in the time that this conversation has been taking place, you've finally been able to pull Warren up to his tryst.
I wanted to add something. I think when he,
Please go ahead.
He's a fledgling, and I think he hasn't quite he isn't quite fully, well, he hasn't been taught very well. Let's start there. But he doesn't realize that it's not a lust of the flesh, but a desire for vitae that drew him instinctively, that drew his beast closer. And so he participated as far as what would be necessary to feed. And I don't think he got much further.
Well, as Vescom is interceding, Warren, you are suddenly struck. Now, I'd like you to make a self-control roll, please. This is for your derangement, because you are, after all, giving in to certain vices, shall we say.
And difficulty?
Difficulty here is going to be 8. It's not like you've held back.
1.
You got 1 success? Okay. As Vescom puts his hand on you, you hear a wolf howling in the distance, away from the town. It's as his hand contacts your arm, your shoulder. And as Vescom speaks, what do you say, Vescom?
Vescom in one hand is on the shoulder. The other hand has a giant glob of mud. And he says, get up, young one. Come inside. It's warm.
The wolf's howl aligns exactly with those words. I will say, for the sake of Vescom and Layla, you do not hear this wolf howling.
So wolves again. If we go inside, that could prove to be our safety, but it could also prove to be our end. We would be trapped. He looks at Vescom like straight in the eyes and he says, it could be all of our end if we stay there. Is there a better place, a safer place?
For the time being, there's not. Wolves are good at hunting, running. They're fast, but not good at opening doors. They don't have the thumbs for it. And Vescom pats the shoulder again. Seeing as Warren has willingly uncoupled, he puts the glob of mud in his other hand behind his back. Now, please, just come inside. We will decide what to do there. It's the safest place for now.
Did you hear it?
Master, you hear Lucy's voice behind you, Vescom.
I think Vescom's almost forgotten about Lucy. This new obsession has consumed him. He twitches around. Lucy, I'm finishing up here with...
She cuts you off by stabbing you repeatedly in the stomach. You will never bite or follow or touch me again. And she stabs and stabs and stabs.
So the mud hand is coming back out because I think Vescom was in shock for a second, but if there's multiple stabbings...
Okay, all right, so first things first, Vescom, let's go for a stamina roll, please. I appreciate I didn't roll to hit you, but sometimes these things just kind of happen.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Whilst that's...
So I got
Go ahead, sir.
A 10 and a 2, so 2 successes?
Okay, then. So the knife does cut through your dead flesh, and even your illusion, I wouldn't say it flickers, it sort of mists over briefly whenever she cuts through it. You can take 2 levels of lethal damage, please.
All right, got it. Vescom's... it probably doesn't bleed the right way a person bleeds, but there's definitely a blackened ichor blood amalgamation now on the blade, and Warren is probably tossed a bit as Vescom is now reeling and wrenching and throwing the fist that was behind his back towards the skull to topple his attacker.
All right, let's look at a strength and brawl roll, please, for Vescom, please. And while you're doing that, Layla, you are seeing this. This is all incredibly sudden.
Yeah.
You didn't even see the knife enter this young woman's hand. But yeah, rapidly, she started gutting this Nosferatu who you came to for aid.
Yeah.
And
This is the first thing that she's seen that has actually shocked her. Was not anticipating this. She'd try to, run up and try to help pull Lucy off of him. Just out of instinct.
Okay, well, how did you do, Zack? The difficulty's only 6.
I got lucky with another 10, but that was the only one, so 2 successes.
All right, well, you smack her across the head with the thick mud in your hand, and she does totter backwards. Layla, are you basically trying to wrestle her back into the tavern?
Yeah, she'll try to catch her as she falls backward, and she'll try to wrestle the knife from her hand first.
Okay, then. So, Zack, roll strength. I want to see damage here. And so, Layla, I'll need from you, likewise, wrestling. This isn't your strong suit by any means, but it's a desperation. Strength and brawl.
Right?
Which I think for you is a grand total of 1 dot.
1. Can I use, and this is, forgive me, I'm not incredibly familiar with, I have a school of movement of the power of motion.
Oh, yes, you can use your thaumaturgy if you
Yes.
so wish.
Great. So that's
I'll-
just instead I'm rolling with thaumaturgy.
I also remind that you could spend a point of willpower to gain an automatic success.
Yep.
True. Yes. Let's do that. For sure. Use a willpower. If 1 success is enough.
Yes. Start using your willpower. Do it. Burn
Quick
it down. Yes, yeah.
Quick question. Since I got 2 successes, does one of those transfer over to the damage of this roll?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Ree,
Mhm.
how did you do with your combined roll here, if you're using movement of the mind?
I apologize. I am not sure what exactly the role.
Okay, let me just get the thaumaturgy up for you. No harm in checking. So, getting
I have 2
thaumaturgy.
dots, if that's.
I'm just going to step away 30 seconds. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. All right.
Might be a willpower to activate, or willpower roll, but
It typically is to activate thaumaturgy. I'm just checking because there's a lot of paths in this. I'm guessing this one is going to be, in Dark Ages terms, potestus. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Motus. Power of motion.
Yes.
Okay, so at 2 dots, the thaumaturge can manipulate weapons well enough to use this as an attack. So you need to make a willpower roll in order to activate this. So I'll narrate this all once we will edit this in.
Okay.
And then you will be rolling melee plus thaumaturgy.
Okay.
So first things first, please make a willpower roll for the use of your power of motion thaumaturgy. You need to spend a blood point as well, I'm afraid.
Success on the willpower roll.
Okay, then. So yes, this will be a difficulty of the powers level, so that's 2 plus 3, so it's 5s and above. All right, so if you've succeeded on the willpower roll, that's great. Now we need to see how far you basically throw her, how much weight you can.
Oh, I'm not trying to throw
inflict.
her. I am trying to the knife.
Ah, okay.
Trying to get the knife out of her hand and separate that from her.
Well, you'll most certainly be able to do that. That will be easy.
Okay.
Melee plus thaumaturgy, please. And this is where you've already spent a willpower.
Yeah, and
So that's 1
you said
success already.
difficulty was 5?
The difficulty, let's see. Difficulty on this is always going to be 6s.
Okay,
It was
well,
a 5 to activate the
got it.
blood sorcery.
2 successes.
Okay. Well, in that case, not only do you not... So, you swing your fist, but it isn't your fist that connects with Lucy's blade. It is instead the force of motion. A blast of telekinetic energy emerges from your hand, strikes the metal of the blade, and just sends it flying end over end, and then inexplicably, defying physics, it flies straight after it reaches a certain velocity and lodges in a wall some way away from where you are. Certainly she is not going to be able to reach it and pull it out of the wattle and the daub. Lucy is disarmed, but by no means is she disincentivized from continuing her attack. She has been afflicted with a great desire to visit wrath on Vescom, on Vescom. But before we get there, I see there has been a request for a break, and in my enthusiasm, I haven't given people a break once, viewers. So let's take a few minutes, everybody who wants to get a fresh drink or the like, and then we will return. Lucy stares at you, Layla, with absolute fury, her face contorted, ugly, twisted. Her eyes are small, like beads pressed into her skull, and with a scream, she just throws herself at you.
All right.
Now, not that you're much of a combatant to begin with,
No.
but having just used your thaumaturgical prowess to disarm her, at least there's that in your favor. She vaults onto you, and she is wrapped around you. She's only a small woman, smaller than you, and her legs, her arms are wrapped around you, and inexplicably for a human, she starts biting you. She just starts like a primate, just starts biting and scratching at you. Can you roll a stamina for me,
Yeah.
please?
Yes, I can.
Vescom, this makes you wish you had a parchment and quill, because again, this is something to note. This is not something you've ever seen before. A mortal trying to feed on a Cainite. And Warren, make a perception, and as you're caught up in this, I would like for you to make a perception, which is the attribute of the session, apparently, and theology.
Oh, damn.
The stamina, just stamina.
Just stamina, please.
So it's a standard difficulty at 6.
Yep.
1 success.
1 success. Okay, she does not pierce the skin with her fragile mortal peasant teeth. Instead, she is just gumming you, more or less. It's unpleasant, to be sure, and she clearly means you harm, but she's not getting through that rubbery, undead flesh.
3 successes.
Okay, Warren, there's a sort of wonderment to what you're witnessing right now. You can still hear that damn wolf howling in the distance. Every time she brings her mouth down on Layla's shoulder, her neck, her face, there's an echoing wolf howling in the distance, something you've become quite familiar with. And then, almost in concert, bells begin to peal, the clanging of loud bronze bells, not from here, from somewhere else, somewhere far away, deep inside of you. While it is apparent to us players, perhaps, what's going on, it now becomes apparent to Warren. You have already witnessed sins of gluttony, of lust, now wrath, being played out before you. That doesn't mean you're necessarily going to see the full set, but there is some kind of devilry at play here, some kind of diabolism. These people were not acting like this when you arrived, and since you've emerged from that cellar, it seems everyone in Thorns, almost everyone in Thorns, has fallen to the beast.
I think he doesn't know what to do with this, but he sees the Lady Shepherd under threat. Not much, apparently, but threat nonetheless. He is going to just sort of tremble for a minute and then, and he dives in. He's going to dive in and try and tackle what's her name off of Lady
Lucy
off of Lady Shepherd.
Between the two of you, there's no need to roll at this point. You can grapple her between you. She is thrashing. She's like a child that doesn't want to go to school, and so she is pinned between you both, holding on to you like you're a door frame and you can't drag her out. Vescom, this just leaves you to approach her, your muse, until recently, until more exciting dramas entered your life. You still have these open wounds, these slashes, these deep dug in slashes in your abdomen where she impaled you 3 times.
Vescom, I think as he steps forward, he's been a bit in shock, both at this development and that his once obsession, his star lead, has now stabbed him over and over. He uses some of his vitae to heal a bit of the wound, but it's more of a side thought as his mind is roiling. He still shocked, his mouth open, and it closes and opens. We need to go. He looks towards the other two. Put her down. And we need to go.
Layla's gonna turn to Lucy. Does she look like she's in any state to, like, hear words?
That is a good question. She looks more like a frenzying vampire than an angry human, so I would say no.
Yeah. I'm certainly happy to leave, but I think she's not going to let up. There's something. She's possessed of some.
I
The whole town
I
is. This whole place is cursed. We need to get somewhere safe.
toss her here, and Vescom gestures towards. Is there anything that they can? Not like a dumpster. There's no dumpsters here, but is there anything? A window, perhaps, of some building. Like, just toss the person. Toss Lucy.
Spend
Ye
a
old
willpower,
dumpster.
Vescom, and there is a yes, ye olde dumpster, ye olde skip. It would be spelled with 2 P's and an E.
Absolutely.
If you spend a willpower point for some directorial control here, Zack, I tell you what, you can basically throw her into a water butt and seal the lid. It's not going to be so full that she will drown, but she certainly won't be able to get out.
Well, the reason I bring it up is just to momentarily make some distance because Vescom wants to use a discipline.
Oh, okay. You tell me what.
He wants to use Vanish from the Mind's Eye, which he's hoping will be able to make him and multiple people disappear.
Yes, if you can succeed on the roll, okay. Yep. Between the 3 of you, you can launch her about 15 feet away, which isn't a short distance to throw somebody, but there are 3 of you. And as you do so, I would like for you to make your roll for Vanish from the Mind's Eye.
All right. So I roll intelligence plus stealth. You get to roll a wits plus alertness, and how many
Nah.
successes each of us gets,
Yeah.
different things happen. But let me
It's
roll.
fair to say Lucy doesn't have a great amount of alertness.
And this is probably nine dice. It's one of Vescom's best.
Well, as long as you can beat 1 success, Vescom, you make you and your companions disappear from Lucy's sight.
Definitely got more than that. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
How
the
does
1
the sudden drape of darkness feel for your companions, Vescom? I like to turn to players for this because I like to imagine that when a Cainite uses a discipline, especially a discipline that affects others in their coterie, that it will feel slightly different for every single vampire. Is it a cold shroud? Is it a thick mist? What does it feel like for them?
For the feeling of Cloaking the Gathering and Obfuscate, as far as Vescom's version of it, it feels as though you are being draped in a warm blanket of sort that just sort of covers the surface of your body. However, it's damp. It's a damp, warm blanket, and it's never fully comfortable because it is damp. It's an odd feeling, but it's still a blanket. It's still
How
a blanket,
British of
so
you.
it's not the worst.
Yeah, it could be nicer, but at least you're invisible. Certainly, you were able to see Lucy more or less sniff at the air, try and sense your presence. With her number of successes, that's not going to happen. And like an animal now, on all fours, in fact, she bolts back into the tavern theatre. You can't imagine she's going in there for a drink. Now, on the outskirts of town, well, Joan, you have just done away with a man of faith. You've clambered out of the ditch, which is where you broke his neck, pushed him down a little further so that he sinks into the still damp slurry and gathering rainfall. This is no noble end for a priest, certainly. His body consigned to the sewage heap. Can I ask you to make a conscience roll, please? Let's see if this affects your humanity.
Now, what would you rate the difficulty for this? Because this was definitely planned.
This was a calculated murder. This is not going to be a... I'm going to have to be a bit harsh here, Jack, and say a difficulty 9. I mean, there's not really any getting around this. He wasn't threatening you specifically.
Absolutely not. I expected no less. And I have a massive 1d10 to roll on this. And I rolled a 1, so you can have fun with that one.
It's not usually politic to allow someone to drop 2 dots of humanity, so I'm not going to do that. You'll drop a dot of humanity. You feel that shard almost impale your heart, cut a few ventricles and vital blood vessels free if you want to get physiological with it, but it's more that there's a living part of you that's been excised surgically by your cold and deliberative act. Given that this is what I would deem a critical failure, there are times that I would throw you into frenzy, but I don't think that's strictly true in this case. I don't think that's appropriate. Rather, I think there is a coldness that washes over you, a certain rationality that makes you think, that's fine. Why wouldn't I do that? I feel nothing for this person, and nothing for the act. There is a lasting effect on this, Jack, and I'd like you to make the note. On your next humanity roll, the difficulty is going to be +1 to whatever it would ordinarily be, which means if it's another 9, you're going to need to get 2 9s. And it's never going to be difficulty 10. Okay?
Okay.
Basically, you are very much detached from your humanity right now and are more or less sleepwalking away from the body with a laissez-faire attitude. You know, that happened. Of course it happened. Why wouldn't it have happened? Now, to bring the coterie back together, I think as the other 3 of you are making your way away from the minstrel's mug, you are able to see this blithely staggering, almost satisfiedly Joan of Thorns. She's got a blank expression, given what's just occurred, but seems at ease with herself. There's no blood on her. There's probably going to be splatters of mud and sewage, but this is the Middle Ages. Everyone's covered in a little bit of sewage and mud. Are any of you revealing yourself to her, as it were?
Yeah, I think Layla would probably... Are we naturally just hidden because of this magic?
You'll be hidden for as long as Vescom deems it so, but a character can willingly free themselves from it.
If I free
For
myself, I
context-
can't go back.
For context, Joan would be heading back to Griffith because there's a lot of things he did not think of mentioning to her, and I think in the context of everything that's just transpired and how she's feeling about this, I think she would be determined to follow up on that, chasing the darkness within him. So you'd probably see her just storm woman on a mission sort of thing, the same blanks, perhaps stern expression. Well, we'll say more blank, emotionless gaze into the night.
I think
So, Layla, if you're planning on dropping the illusion, You see the expression on her face. It's in some ways similar to Lucy's expression. It's not as twisted, but it is just as almost possessed.
Mhm.
Does that make you hold back?
Yeah, she would hesitate.
What about the other two of you?
It's exactly that holds Vescom from immediately dropping the cloak. And he holds up a shushing finger to his lips and to the other two and just gives a motion to follow for now. He wants to observe and make sure she isn't as affected. Doesn't seem like it. We weren't, but Vescom isn't completely sure.
I think if Warren is about to say something as Vescom holds up his finger, and like a student, he will stop himself in this moment and, at least for now, remain silent and remain invisible.
Very well. The three of you follow Joan of Thorns as you basically perform a bit of a circuit. You've made your way through town looking for her, and now you're heading all the way back to the minstrel's mug, where there are still sounds emerging. And while neither Joan nor Layla nor Warren have a need to breathe, it is impossible to not pick up the scent of blood, of booze, of masturbation stench. Vescom, utterly oblivious to this. He has no sense of smell, which is probably why he's so comfortable dwelling where he does. But you pick that floor, you don't get the pleasures of smelling the Dark Ages. Everyone, the rest of you, however, re-entering the minstrel's mug, think this is, well, even you, Joan, on your mission, this place has become a rank pit of... And so it is as you re-enter. Nobody in the tavern theatre is paying you the blindest bit of attention other than to occasionally try and coax you over to join them. Yes, some of them are having sex. Yes, some of them have killed each other. Others are just drinking themselves into oblivion. You can actually see red nils as you make your way back to the cabinet that conceals the entrance to the cellar. Joan, this might break you from your mission. He has the barrel upturned and thick yeast is just flooding his mouth and spilling out the outside. You can see the bodyguard of the noble lady has basically been punctured with about a dozen holes beside him. He is just oozing life all over the floor. You don't know where Catherine happens to be, Catherine of Reading, probably amid the pit of flesh. Does this make you halt, or are you still determined?
I think she would be pissed off enough to at least remark on it. It's like something to the effect of, I am so disappointed in you. Step aside with command. Again.
Not going to make you roll this time, Jack. He doesn't drop the barrel as the yeast and liquid and hops is just kind of mulching all over the lower half of his face, down his neck, down his vest. He just stands to the side and continues doing it. He's not going to be the only person with a yeast infection after tonight, I'm sure. But
ew.
Yeah. Welcome to the Middle Ages, everybody.
Just another night in Thorns.
Yeah.
That's the episode title right there.
May I be permitted to make a self-control?
Yeah, go for it. Love it when a player volunteers to do that.
Because obviously Anger's tension's rising. He's a little bit concerned that she's just employed a power of the blood and that's had no effect on the mortal here. Not really with it enough to think about the logistics behind that at the moment. It's not so much as a response to see whether it frenzy, although a botch may indicate that herself.
Yeah.
It's more whether she just, usually someone particularly calm would just lash out and do something she wouldn't usually, something that's a bit more rash. What difficulty would you say that is with all that in mind?
Let's go for 8.
Cool. A slightly spicy difficulty. There's 1 10, so that counts as 2 successes.
It does indeed. Well, you want to lash out. You want to jam that barrel down on his head or peel off a shard of it and maybe even cut him open, but you relent. That would not further your agenda. He can be dealt with at any other time.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need dealing with now.
No. Am I able to push or at least slide past him? Is there enough of a gap there for me to re-enter?
Oh,
okay.
yeah. I mean, he shuffled slightly to the side when you said move aside. It just wasn't nearly enough to imply that he was being commanded. He just kind of...
Yeah.
It's like when you're trying to squeeze past someone's chair, and rather than move the chair, they just lean forward and leave the chair where it is.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing. So yes, you can squeeze past.
Okay. And when
you have your 3 K-Knight voyeurs following you, very quietly tiptoeing through the writhing bodies.
Yeah. That can be their problem to sort out how to get past all of that. Would I be hopefully right to assume that Griffith is still in the little catacomb thing when I enter?
Griffith is indeed still down there. He is on his knees. He is praying.
And I think Vescom, if we can follow down, I think obfuscate makes it so that we generally avoid contact with groups of people.
I'm happy with that, yeah.
Vescom's going to drop the cloak, seeing as she didn't immediately start doing sinful, jubilant killings or sex or drinking, probably fine. So Vescom's going to drop it. Yeah, all of the above. He's going to drop the cloak and say, he's kind of calmed down, by the way, at this point. He looks a bit excitable, actually, that there's a burgeoning story that is developing here. And he giggles a bit gleefully, his true form apparent once again.
We know who the real freak is in this coterie, don't we?
Oh, yeah. He had the other two following along, could tell that Vescom watches, is a voyeur, a lot. It was too natural for him.
Yeah. The freak, and we have a Malkavian. So, just to put that in perspective.
Vescom says, as we get down into the catacombs, "This is quite the mess. Quite the mess."
Silence. She'll go to Griffith and employ shadow play.
You're trying to fuck with a man's fucked up mind?
Just a smidge.
All right, then. Let's get your dice pool.
Does this have a visible effect?
Oh, it does. Shadow play, for those who are unaware, is part of the obtenebration discipline, which is the unique toy of the La Sombra, for the most part, which is a manipulation and control of the darkness and shadows. And
all you need to do is spend 1 blood point to do it, and then if you make an intimidation roll, it will add a die and can basically seriously traumatize the person witnessing it. After all, if they think they are speaking with the devil or God, when the shadows start to move, to add exclamation marks, it's not going to help matters. And unfortunately, the same is going to apply to you, Warren. It's highly unlikely you would have seen obtenebration being used before.
Absolutely true.
I'll also add that any mortals that are present have to make a courage check of 7, so I don't know how far behind Red and any other copulating, pissed mortals are behind us. So,
for dramatic license, if you want the shadow play to affect the people upstairs from you, I'm happy for you to do so. If you'd rather it was contained, it can be contained. You choose.
I think it would make more narrative sense to be contained in the room, but I'm not quite too sure how far laterally it would extend outwards. But as I'm being
We'll
complete
keep it in the catacombs.
So as she approaches Griffith, the, I assume, quite dark catacombs feels a lot more dark. It feels, to some, perhaps even more suffocating and cold, like more than just the British night cold that's unpleasantly like a sickly cold to it. And she is standing in front of Griffith trying to catch his attention, and hopefully with some of the darkness that's like encompassing around her and spreading a bit further around us, she'll just raising her voice, clearly pissed off at this point. You're going to tell me everything that transpired with him, from the nights, the goblet, the hiding of the blood, the desecration of the body parts, everything.
His hands go from praying down to the ground. His eyes turn up at you. Yes, we're entering narration mode. His face turns up to look up at you, as if he were staring at the stars or perhaps an angel, and his eyes are wide. And he smiles, and his fangs extend. I will tell you everything. I will show you everything. You will know everything. And then I will be absolved of my sin, and it will be carried by you. Do you wish to hear my confession, church lady?
Yes, she says through gritted teeth.
And thus, with the shadows wrapped around him, and Warren, this feels like a very bad idea. You can feel a portent rumbling in your gut. A gut that has not rumbled in some time. We are going to come to a close on this session.
That's a perfect place to end it.
Excellent.
Well, I'm going to say thank you very much to my players, to Ree, to Zack, to Jack, and to Bob, in no particular order. Thank you very much to all of them for playing this session of Crown of Thorns. We will be returning for another very soon, I have no doubt. And to people who have watched this, I thank you so very, very much. It is hugely appreciated. This is my first return to streaming Vampire in a very, very, very long time. And it is great to do it here with such fantastic players who are really into the setting, really into the characters. And it means a lot that you're checking this out. So thank you very much. Any words from any of the rest of you before we sign off?
Yeah, and thank you very much to our great storyteller for kicking off what is probably going to be a tremendous, traumatic clusterfuck of emotions.
Well, the clusterfucks happen.
All right.
Yeah, many
Indeed.
clusterfucks.
Touche.
What a wonderful start. Wonderful start.
Thank you for the amazing storytelling, and so excited for the next one.
Thank you for playing. And thank you, Bob, for hosting.
Yes, thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right. For those that are watching, you can stick around for the later part. Let's have some advertisements, as it were, for other games and things that are happening. So thanks for
Take
care.
seeing you.
Meep. That's my air horn. Okay. Holy smokes. Thank you again, everyone. And as always, we hope that you live your best selves in your mortal roles We will see you next time. Ciao. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Wow, you guys. Wow.
Oh my god.